Hey everybody, thanks for joining our webinar today. Today we're going to discuss ROI, ROI applications, operational bandwidth, and overall tracking of your new Markforged 3D printer. Ultimately, this would be applicable to any new printer or pieces of machinery brought into your organization. Hey, so first let's talk a little bit about MLC. At MLC CAD Systems, we're dedicated to delivering our customers the best solutions from art to part with SOLIDWORKS, Mastercam, and Markforged solutions. We're also the largest and fastest growing Markforged reseller in North America. And guys, we've been in business for 38 years. My name's Kyle Norman. I'm the 3D printing application expert here at MLC CAD Systems. I've got 25 plus years manufacturing experience in many industries: automotive, aviation, firearms, point of purchase, just to mention a few. And I've done some pretty neat things with thermoforming, injection molding, machining. I think ultimately I'm just an old manufacturing guy. I think one of the movies that kind of really defines me and explains me more is Gung Ho. If you haven't seen this movie, you've got to go see it. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. It really is a good flick. Real quick, let's cover an agenda. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about today. First, we're going to discuss ROI. Less specifically ROI related to the purchase or justification of a new machine, but more continuing to add ROI justification, aka value to your machine. Then we will continue on to applications where we will review a few traditional applications. Then we'll look at some real customer applications and see what they're doing to drive the 3D printing value home. Then we'll talk about some application identification and the things to look for to add more value to your machine. Then Travis will join us and talk about maintenance on your machine, things you should be doing daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, and proper customer success plan utilization. Then he will dive into machine bandwidth by discussing fleet management, print or queue management, and best practices on material management. Before we get started, I don't want anyone to think you have to own a Markforged printer in order to attend this webinar today. The fact is, much of what we're going to discuss is applicable to many other 3D printers, not just a Markforged machine. Also, what you're going to learn today would help you create your ROI if you are in the beginning stages of trying to put additive manufacturing in place in your organization. So thanks a lot for joining us today. Let's get started. So let's talk about ROI, or return on investment. Nearly all capital investments like CNC machines or 3D printers are strategic and revolve around a traditional ROI application that was identified and justified for the original purchase of the machine. Once you are past that initial ROI justification, when a new job comes in, typically no one's really taken into account the original purchase price of the CNC machine or even often the 3D printer. It is simply just driving additional value to that piece of equipment, which is good, but it doesn't make you look like a hero, does it? Because that's what I want to look like, and that's our goal. I'm not going to teach an accounting class today because everyone knows I'm the last one that should be teaching that. But let's talk some basic ROI first. So our ROI equals return divided by investment times 100. So in basic terms, if you purchase a $20,000 machine and the project you produce on it saves you $5,000, your ROI is 25%. It's pretty simple math, isn't it? As more projects begin to accumulate, before you know it, you've reached the ROI of 100%. It's often quite sooner than most customers expect. At this point, it's all paid for now. Everything is pure profit, right? This is where most companies stop tracking ROI. But what we're here to tell you today is stop this practice, and here's why. There's no better way to make yourself look like a hero, drive home value to your job, and most importantly, drive home value to the 3D printer, and then ultimately will justify your next 3D printer. So just keep adding to your machine ROI. There's no CEO on earth that hates to hear, well, we're at 5,000% of our ROI, and we've just been showing tons of profit, So I think it's time to buy another 3D printer so we can make even more money. They're not going to turn that conversation down. But typically, it's not going to be that simple. But we can help you drive that ROI value to have that conversation almost that simple. ROI is a never-ending process. We're trying to increase our profits with less overhead. With a Markforged 3D printer, it's possible to create a functional part the same day to literally try out a design. This process can allow us to iterate quickly and more often. It allows us to get a more mature product to market faster. Think about this scenario for a moment. I think many of us have had this experience. We have a product or an assembly, it's ready to go out the door, we're in a time crunch, it has to go out tomorrow, and some off-the-shelf component or some bracket that takes 7 days to get here, it hadn't been ordered yet. Often, there's a workaround with a 3D printed part, so we can print a couple of parts maybe that are required so we can get this product out the door while our supply chain is able to catch up. What I'm trying to drive home with you today is that ROI isn't always about quantity, but more how much of an impact you can make on a product and how fast you can get the product to market. Now let's talk about applications before we do. If you need help calculating ROI, please reach out to me. I can provide you some more specific ROI documentation and absolutely help you through that process. If you missed the email address here, we'll have it up again at the end of the presentation. So far, we've covered that ROI category. We could probably cover an entire hour of just ROI, but everyone would be asleep in just a couple more minutes. So let's go into something a little more exciting. Let's talk about applications in general, and then we're going to talk about some things that our customers are doing today that are pretty darn neat. So 3D printing applications. I'm astounded every day by the applications and uses our customers come up with for 3D printing. The fact that our technology enables you to print a part that's going to rival the strength of 6061 T6 aluminum and carbon fiber, or print a part out of pure copper, or Inconel, or titanium. This opens up the possibilities for applications that were never on the table previously. The composite material is abrasion and chemical resistant, so it will work for repetitive situations like assembly fixtures, and will as well work for tooling applications inside of your CNC machine exposed to coolant, believe it or not. This list is definitely not 100% comprehensive, but these are some of the most common applications we see. But let's take a look at a couple of our customers' applications and what they say about the Markforged product. Thomas Instrument has more than 30 years of experience in all phases of support for mature military flight hardware. They have the staff, equipment, experience, and facilities to perform turnkey design, development, testing, repair, and overhaul services on the most demanding aircraft products. For Thomas Instruments, designing and manufacturing complex, critical aerospace products isn't good enough when an aircraft and, more importantly, the pilot that fly them are at stake. Thomas Instruments has a fully qualified staff of engineers. It is their proven ability to design and develop products, but their testing enhances the reliability, and that is what sets Thomas Instrument apart. Their ability to monitor each product to completion ensures that the first component is just as accurate as the last. This is all supported by a Markforged Mark II 3D printer. Thomas is replacing many traditional machined aluminum fixtures with composite parts. This ultimately translates to shorter development time and cost savings. Think about it, the ripple effect even goes deeper. Now that they've freed up CNC machine time, since they're not machining parts that are overhead, they can now be machining parts that make money. So what they've done is they've reduced the backlog on their machine and increased the efficiency and capacity of that machine. Next, let's talk about Guring. Guring is a manufacturer of precision cutting tools for companies like BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover, and Airbus. and they're very well known in the industry. Guring was searching for new business opportunities to serve their smaller customer base in the specialty tool space. By adopting metal 3D printing, they were able to open up new revenue streams for these high-value customers. The general process for tools to be created include the designs needing to be approved by the customer before they go ahead and start making the final tool. A process like this can take up to 8 weeks. However, smaller customers have limited time to wait for a new special tool, as they are unlikely to have spare special tools just sitting around. So the engineers at Guring printed the body of a milling cutter in H13 tool steel on a Metal X printer. Initially, it was simply a prototype to prove out the design. After adding cutting tips, the tool was used as a reamer to cut aluminum, and it worked as planned. Guring can now provide low-volume tools to their customers at a reduced price, and now they've opened up new revenue streams for the business to service their smaller customers. That's pretty interesting. So Charleston provides professional and high-quality equipment for savvy food service customers. Every Charleston product is engineered, fabricated, assembled, and tested in their facility in Fort Worth, Texas. Charleston purchased a Markforged printer for production line support, jigs, fixtures, and small tools. They're currently working on a project that will save them $5 to $6K. There's another ROI addition, isn't there? If they had just bought that machine and it was, let's say, a $20,000 machine, that'd be a 25% ROI just on that one project, wouldn't it? Next, one of our customers is Balfour. Many of you guys have probably heard of Balfour. They're known for the manufacturing, sales, and marketing of class rings, yearbooks, letter jackets, and basically graduation paraphernalia. Also recognized as one of the oldest and largest distributors of commemorative jewelry and recognition products. So Balfour purchased an industrial machine to build milling fixtures. Tolerances were super critical to them, as you can imagine by their product line. They have been so successful with their Markforged industrial printer, they are considering adding another one very soon for the additional bandwidth. And funny, when we spoke to Paul, one of the surprising things that Paul never really recognized was the unattended operation. The fact that a 3D printer runs lights out. Our printers run extremely reliable and will run all night long without any issues. And that was just something that was never really considered, has been a really big benefit to these guys. Next, the Harris Products Group, otherwise known as Lincoln Electric. This group is a world leader in metalworking products used in the brazing, soldering, welding, cutting, and gas distribution industries. It is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Lincoln Electric Company. They have used their machine primarily supplementing the machine shop, lessening some of the custom build scenarios they have on assembly buildings, building things such as specialty fixtures, impact plates, socket applications are most of the applications. I love David. He always has a way with words, and when he says it makes me look like a genius every day, and that's no small task. I think it's great, and honestly, it really sums up a lot of our customers' feelings of it. It really does. It goes back to when I said earlier that we want you to look like a hero, and it's easy to do with a Markforged product, particularly when you continue to stack those ROI benefits on top of each other. Now let's switch gears a little bit. Let's touch on application identification. We found that there are 3 great ways to do this in your facility. First, and most importantly, focus on pain points and cost drivers in the business. We typically like to go talk to folks on the shop floor and ask them, what are the 3 most difficult aspects of your job? Then take that input and analyze what can be done to make his job easier. This is really applicable across the manufacturing floor. That goes from the machine shop to quality, all the way to the maintenance department. You can talk to every single person on the floor. Next is common manufacturing applications. Many of these have an aspect that can be assisted or enhanced by additive manufacturing. We're going to look at these a little deeper here in just a second. Finally, as you walk the shop floor, look for common tooling and fixturing materials. It seems very elementary, but often you can locate a pain point that you wouldn't normally have identified just by locating a type of material. So let's take a look at some pain points and some cost drivers. Here are 4 common pain points we see: unplanned downtime, line changeover, machine upgrades, and cardboard engineering, my favorite. Unplanned downtime. There's always a root cause of this, and often is caused by a failure somewhere in the chain that often ends up being a pretty fabulous 3D printing application. So when you begin to do your root cause analysis on unplanned downtime, be keeping that 3D printing application in mind. Line changeover. This is being able to print, say, a set of gauges, check gauges, go, no-go, check fixtures. It's a huge time saver when you go to reconfigure your machine in between product lines. Next is, it's a little less common, but I often see a lot of maintenance departments really hone in on this one. And it's about printing machine upgrades or retrofit brackets for aging manufacturing machine fleet. Those guys often struggle with that, and it's a really simple fix to 3D print some brackets and holding pieces for those outdated machines. Cardboard engineering, otherwise known as duct tape engineering. This is far more common than you really think. It's typically put in place to meet a deadline and never replaced, resulting in a permanent solution. This is a fabulous application and an opportunity to make things safer and more accurate in your facility. I know I have been a part of a lot of cardboard engineering, and it is absolutely a fantastic application to go back, find those, and print those repairs to that particular application. Despite vast differences in products, we see tons of applications that are common across many manufacturing fields, from tractors to night vision goggles. If you haven't visited your QC department lately, you need to go see these guys. This is probably one of the biggest areas for applications I see in just about every shop I go into. It will surprise you how they'll be using some very rudimentary fixtures that really aren't meeting their needs. So help those guys out. Assembly fixtures are typically in low quantity and often very expensive because of the low quantity. And so that makes that a great application. Next is end-to-arm tooling. This just cries out for 3D printing. It enables you to integrate things like internal vacuum channels, air cooling, or non-traditional shapes with extraordinary strength, so you can pick up those crazy little parts or move them with that robot. Soft jaws, typically required for subtractive manufacturing. So we're talking about soft jaws for like your Kurt Weiss. These things are typically time consuming to machine, so you really should be giving it a go of 3D printing these things. We're seeing lots of customers having fantastic success. Next, hold down fixtures for secondary operations. That's a really good one. So let's say if the picture there on the bottom right actually shows it great, where that particular part got machined one side and then it had to be flipped over and bolted down to get the secondary machine. So holds that part extremely tight while we do a finished machine on it. Custom welding fixtures are actually a great application, believe it or not, since our material is heat tolerant up to 150 C. You can design and print your fixture to hold your complex angles for welding. You can even print cut fixtures to miter the complex joints. I have a customer that actually does this. So they cut the form. So in other words, the little piece that they slide over the pipe that they draw the miter on, then they cut the part, and then they have a printed fixture that holds all those things together. And finally, common tooling and fixture materials. This is probably the most general strategy of looking for applications. What we'll tell you is look for the most common fixturing materials. It's really just that simple. When we look at this list, everything with an asterisk typically can be replaced by a hybrid part. Whether it's a metal and a composite part, or a composite and a metal part, or composite with some off-the-shelf hardware, typically the material in the plastics category are chosen for non-marring and impact resistance. The Markforged materials easily hold up to these environments. When you 3D print them, there's really no penalty for complexity. So you can print it as opposed to machining one of these materials. It's a fantastic application. Don't forget the metals. With the Metal X printer, now we can be printing these tooling and fixtures out of metal. It's another great application. So, guys, this concludes my part of today's presentation. If you have any questions about anything I discussed today, or you would like to schedule a virtual or in-person walk the line meeting to discuss potential applications on your manufacturing floor, please reach out to MLC CAD Systems. We'd be happy to help you out. Now, without further ado, here's Travis Bates.
Thank you, Kyle. That was some great information. As Kyle just stated, my name is Travis Bates, and I am the 3D printing technician here at MLC CAD Systems. Let's start off by getting to know each other a little bit. I graduated from the University of Central Florida with a degree in mechanical engineering. It was right after graduation that I began my additive manufacturing and 3D printing journey. I now have 5+ years of additive manufacturing and 3D printing experience, which includes multiple additive technologies such as SLA, multi-jet printing or MJP, color jet printing or CJP, fused filament fabrication or FFF, and microdispensing. I am also known as the sports guy, as I enjoy pretty much all sports. But as we know, 2020 has not been the year for sports. Luckily, the golf courses have stayed open and I have been able to maintain my peace of mind. Speaking of maintenance, let's talk about just how easy it is to maintain your Markforged printer and what great benefits come along with your customer success plan. Many customers love the hands-off ability to print unattended for long hours with great confidence. And it really doesn't take much to achieve this benefit. It's almost as easy as remembering the big three before you leave your house. We've all been there. Phone, check. Wallet, check. Keys, check. Boom. We're ready to take on the day with confidence. Let's see just how easy it is to achieve this level of confidence with your Markforged device compared to some of the other additive technologies out there. As you can see, this is a pretty short list. Let's start off with daily maintenance. What is required daily or weekly to keep these machines in top shape? How about 10 to 15 minutes or less? We're talking about keeping the printer clear of debris, keeping the print bed leveled and clean, and checking your material levels just so we know we're not about to run out of material anytime soon. Well, what about annual maintenance? Do we need a certified technician to come out every 6 months to replace specialized items? Well, as much as I would love to see you every 6 months, it's not necessary. You basically have everything you need for all your long-term maintenance in-house. In addition to keeping those print beds and printers clean, We need to check and replace the Bowden tubes. That takes about 5 to 10 minutes. Check and replace nozzles. That's a process that could take 5 minutes or less. Then check and adjust belt tension as necessary. Again, that's a 5 minute or less process. All in, we have, let's say, about a total of 20 to 30 minutes or less of maintenance, in addition to the daily maintenance that we perform on the machine. That's a piece of cake in my eyes. Now let's compare that to what is required to keep some of the other top additive technologies in their top shape. Right away, we can see this is a much bigger list that we couldn't even fit on this slide. Granted, not all of these items applies to all the different additive technologies, but there are some pretty big and expensive items off the list that you will never have to worry about on your Markforged printer. For example, there is no handling of hazardous material or powerful lasers or handling of UV sensitive materials like you would find with your SLS or SLA machines, no complex wiping assemblies or complex print heads that you might find on a multi-jet machine. There are no waste bags or purge buckets to clean or change that may or may not require special disposal. These are all pretty heavy hitting items that add significantly to the cost of maintenance to those machines. It also adds to your personal stress level and has a direct correlation on the amount of headaches that you average per year. So, how does Markforged provide this confidence and handoff approach to maintenance that will keep your stress and headaches down? That answer is customer success plans. Proper utilization of customer success plans is key to keeping the confidence high and the stress low. Not only is your customer success plan a bumper-to-bumper warranty on parts, which we will see here in just a minute, but it also provides additional benefits such as priority support and a 2-hour per year consultation with an advanced Markforged application engineer. This consultation can be used for a variety of things such as assisting with a specific part design, part orientation and optimization for whole projects, application identification, and much, much more. They are basically an extension of your team and your printers. Now let's take a look at what this bumper-to-bumper part warranty really covers. On the left, we have all the parts that are covered on the composite machines, and on the right, we have all the parts covered under the Metal X system. The parts coverage is broken into two categories. We have wear and tear and damage. As you can see, many of the parts are covered under normal wear and tear conditions as well as against damage. It truly is a bumper-to-bumper warranty on your printer. In fact, it's easier to go over what is not covered under the customer success plan. As you can see, this is a much shorter list. For the composite machines, the only things that aren't covered are materials, glue, lubricant, and nozzles. For the Metal X system, it is very similar. However, even after seeing the extensive coverage on the success plans, customers still aren't utilizing it to its full potential. In order to unlock the full potential of your customer success plan, you need to first take advantage of the 2-hour per year consultation with the Markforged applications engineer. And second, order those high wear items that are covered before they completely fail. Items such as Bowden tubes, dry box adapters, build plates, leveling shims. Anyone who has worked with these printers or pretty much leveling shims in general knows how easily they can wear, especially the thin ones, and belts. Every 6 months or so, we want you looking over your machine while performing your preventative maintenance to take note of these items. If you notice any wear and tear or damage, take action and order these items while they're covered under your success plan before they fail and leave you dead in the water. This will save you stress, time, and money, allowing you to get the most out of your Markforged printer. Getting the most out of our investment, aka efficiency, is always what we are after. So let us shift focus slightly and talk about optimizing bandwidth on your Markforged printer. One of the first things to consider when you want to know how to make efficient use of the bandwidth is print time. As we all know, time is money, and the more uptime the printer has, the more money it has the potential of generating. Because of this, ideally, you want to print longer jobs overnight and shorter jobs during the day. Here I have provided you with 4 example days of prints that will help you optimize your bandwidth. In examples 1 and 2, we see ideal situations with 100% uptime and 0 downtime. However, in reality, it is very difficult to achieve these ideal scenarios. In examples 3 and 4, however, we can see a bit more of a real-world scenario. Let's take example 4. We have 1 13-hour print job, 2 2-hour print jobs, and 1 4-hour print job as part of our single project. As you can see, if we were to start the 13-hour print job in the beginning of the day, or even after one of our 2-hour print jobs, or after our 4-hour print job, then we would still need to use a whole second day of printing just to complete the other prints for this project, since the 13-hour print job would not end until after everyone has already left for the workday. Instead, if we run all the 2-hour print jobs and the single 4-hour print job in the beginning of the day, they will finish right before the end of the workday. At this point, we can still kick off the 13-hour print job to run overnight. That way, the printer can still be working long after you are gone. This will leave us with only 3 hours of downtime and leave the printer available first thing the next day to start your next project. So, as a general rule of thumb, prints of 8 hours or less should be prioritized to start in the beginning of the workday. Prints between 8 to 16 hours are best to be started at the end of the workday, and prints between 16 to 24 hours should be started towards the middle of the day in order to optimize your printer's bandwidth. Now that we know how to prioritize our printing based on print times, is there something out there that can make this easy for the user when it comes to actually printing these jobs? The answer, my friend, is found in the Eiger Software. The Eiger Software makes it easy to manage a fleet of printers while managing the print queue for each of those printers, or just one printer and one print queue. It's all just a few clicks of a button, either way. The picture on the top is an example of the Device tab in Eiger. This is where you would go to see which, if any, printers are currently running a job, and which printers are ready for the next job, which printers may be down for maintenance, or which printers may need firmware updates. This page will have all your Markforged devices, whether it's a composite or metal machine. This provides you with a convenient location to quickly and easily decide which job should go to which printer based on printer availability. The picture on the bottom is an example of the device status page for one specific printer. This page has a couple pieces of key information that allow you to effectively manage your print queue. The most important is the view of the print queue itself, highlighted in the red box. We can easily adjust this queue in several ways. Using the plus or minus buttons, we can add multiples of a certain job or delete certain jobs. We can expand our menu with a ... box. This will allow us to quickly open a specific build and make any necessary edits, such as removing or adding parts. By clicking and dragging a certain job, we can quickly rearrange the order of the queue. For example, if your boss comes to you at the last minute with an important project that needs to be fit into your current queue, we can quickly make those adjustments and move the jobs around without even leaving our computer. We can also see what material is currently loaded in the machine compared to what material is required for our next print job. Therefore, prioritizing jobs with the same material together before switching materials for another job. With this, Eiger gives you flexibility and job management at the company level and at the machine level to control both throughput and efficiency. However, we can't talk about bandwidth efficiency without discussing material usage. As they say, there is an app for that. Well, Eiger has a page for that. That page is called the dashboard. There are no secrets when it comes to the dashboard. Here you can see exactly how many print jobs are being done, how many parts are being uploaded, printer bandwidth by user, and the big one, material usage. You have flexibility to filter this page by certain users, printers, or even time frame. You can export a convenient CSV file that you can directly plug into a pivot table of your choice. All this information is valuable when managing consumables on your printer, allowing you to plan ahead and make more intelligent purchasing decisions in regard to the material and other consumables. In addition, I want to leave you with just a few additional tips to help optimize material usage. Number 1, less is more. When it comes to putting that expensive fiber in your part, but you aren't really sure how much is needed, less is more. There you go. Say it with me. Less is more. When testing it, start with a little and then do your testing. If it requires more, slowly add more. Number 2, determine loading conditions. This will help when you decide which material is best for your part. If you still aren't sure, it is best to start with the cheapest material, as it may just be what you need. Number 3, identify critical dimensions. Unit test these tight tolerances and critical dimensions. Isolate those features from the main part and test just those features before printing the entire part. The last thing you need is to print the entire part just to find out one of all those dimensions are just slightly off. And number 4, reduce supports and improve overhangs. This can be accomplished by using chamfers and fillets. Use the 45-degree rule to your advantage to reduce those supports, and consider shelling parts to reduce material in areas where strength may not be as important. Now we can see how and why so many customers love the hands-off ability to print unattended for long hours with this great confidence on their Markforged device. This is achieved through the ease of maintenance and full coverage of the success plans, combined with Eiger, giving you flexibility and job management at multiple levels to control throughput and efficiency.